Hello, you guys. I have a little bit of a different video here today. We're going to be talking about my journey of my sexuality and my faith journey and how these two go hand in hand. In a lot of ways, it feels like they should be going apart, but they actually did bring me closer to my relationship with God and just where I'm at today. So I'm very grateful for these experiences, even though many of them were very, very dark and hard to experience. It can be very lonely. So I want to make this video for all of those out there that are in the LGBTQ community and have a hard time connecting in with God, because there is this kind of fight, between the church and the gays. And so I am here to kind of bridge a gap a little bit of showing that there can be both, that you can still be you in those moments of deep shame. So starting off, I do want to talk about just kind of my journey with my kind of gender expression or understanding where I was as a young kid. So starting off, I was the fifth child of my family, and it went boy, girl, and then girl. So there's already this very subconscious level of pattern recognition of boy, girl, girl. Like I should have been a boy, right? There's that pattern recognition of, therefore I was the ending, right? I had to stop the pattern. And so as being one that there was two girls on one side, two boys on the other side, and I was in the middle, kind of like allowed me to navigate my gender in a different way, where I found a lot of value in the masculine energy of my brothers, found a lot of value in the masculine energy of my sisters, and I had leadership in both those areas. It was very divided in that way. So that was already initially one thing that already was programmed within me, is that kind of division, right? That division of gender. And then on top of that, growing up, I was I'm 6 foot tall. So I was a big kid. And I was much stronger than most of the boys when I was younger. And so when the teachers or whatever would ask for a strong boy to help them lift chairs or something stupid, I would always get so frustrated, because I'm like, I'm so much stronger than them. I enjoy lifting things. I enjoy doing things with my strength and with my body. I like being of service to humanity. So again, that other concept also pushed me into this aspect of, well, you must be more boyish. I wished that I was a boy. At a very young age, I wished that I was a boy, because there was a lot more pleasures that they had to experience that I liked to experience. Like I loved playing outside. I loved being of service to people, all of this stuff. I didn't really love dressing up. I especially growing up as a Christian, you have to go to church every Sunday and dress up, and for little girls it's dresses and cute things like that, and I just had such a fit with that. I had such a hard time wearing dresses. It was so difficult for me to get in any way feminine, and another reason for this was, again, the programming of women in the church. So women in the church were often said, you got to stay quiet, stay within the home, do the cooking and the cleaning, do all of the work for the man, as the man does something fun outdoors and does a little job for the family, and then comes home and doesn't have to do anything. And I saw that firsthand with my parents, and my dad was often gone, and my mom would do a lot of the work, but she was chronically ill, chronically mentally ill, chronically physically ill, and really just shut down her body, having 5 kids and homeschooling a lot of them for a lot of the lifetime. I wasn't homeschooled. I was the only one that wasn't, because at the time that she had me, she kind of just broke down. She completely broke down, and so I became a clutch for her. I became an emotional clutch, a physical clutch, and so I became the partner figure to her. I would take care of her. I would make sure that she was eating things properly. I would make sure she would eat in general. I'd make sure she would take her medicines, and so I initially already came in as the role of the protector of my mom at a very young age. So that's another reason why there is a difference in gender binary there. And why I'm speaking this is because I do think there is importance in understanding that a lot of times sexuality is both nature and nurture. It doesn't have to be one specifically. And that was something that was really difficult for me to understand and kind of swallow, was the fact that there were things in my life that had kind of pushed me in this position, but I think that there's a lot of beauty in it, and I think everything is meant to be, and I love who I am, and I love who I've become. So I'm very grateful for that. So those were a lot of the nurtured effects that came through some programming that changed kind of my identity. And another thing after that, the nature part, is that I just genuinely was attracted to women at a very young age. I had never really been attracted to men, and again, it could be associated with not having a lot of great father figures in my life. And again, my dad isn't a bad guy. He just wasn't around. I didn't have grandparents in my life. I didn't really have a lot of father figures other than like the pastor as well. And the pastors at the church that I went to always got super uncomfortable around women. And so there was already this energy of, you know what, I don't really like them. I don't really like men. And so I started having a difficult time with that at a very young age. But so I was always attracted to women, and I would even fake who I liked growing up in school. I would just make up people. It was whatever. And some other experiences that I had at a young age that shaped me and who I was and how I kind of came out was, I didn't read a lot. I really didn't. I didn't love it. I spent a lot of time in imagination, but there was a couple books that I really enjoyed, and they were comic books. And during the book fair, I was very excited to get one comic book that had just come out, and it was called Drama, if anyone knows what that is. And it was a comic book, and it had 2 gay kids in it. And I was so excited about it. I bought it with my own money. I was so stoked because I never read books, but I was like, yes, this is excellent. And I bought it and I brought it home, and I had already read it. My mom then read it and later sat down with me and was like, this is not okay. You cannot be influenced by this. Gay people are bad. Like, it's a sin. You know that. And then she burned the book in front of me, and we had to go through this like whole ritual or whatever of basically saying that being gay is satanic. And there's been many experiences along that, as well as growing up in a home and you're watching Grey's Anatomy with my family, and anytime that a queer couple would kiss, my mom and my dad would make comments, my mom would gag every time. So again, there's already that programming of saying that this is bad, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do this. So again, I continue to suppress my sexuality, suppress that already innate part of me that really enjoyed women and looking at women and all that stuff. Continuing on in school, again, I really wouldn't talk about anybody that I liked. I was very secluded. I didn't talk to many people about what was going on in my life. And one place I really enjoyed was musical theater. I did a little bit of musical theater for just a couple years, and there were some queer influences there. If you know musical theater, you know that. And oftentimes people would kind of ask me about that, and I'm like, no, I'm not gay. But again, there's that blocking of myself. I didn't want to expose that to myself yet. I wasn't ready for that. I was still in a home that was very aggressively against queer people, and so I just could not open that up yet. And also, while all of this is happening, I'm a very big leader in the church. I led worship, and I created a youth worship band, and I was just very big in the Bible studies and in the leadership. I did a lot of leadership conferences for a church. So again, a large part of my identity was my Christianity, was my faith, and was my dedication to God. And so while I'm experiencing a little bit of like this sexual awakening, I was also experiencing this connection with God, which was beautiful. And a lot of it was just within music. Music was a big thing for me. So then I go off to college, and I start to allow myself to think about things and like, what would it look like if I married a man? And every time I did that, I would kind of just throw up in my mouth a little bit, because it was not something I wanted at all, but it was something that was super pressurized in me. And every time I thought about having sex with a man, it would just like make me really not want to be with anyone at all. And so that was very difficult for me for a long time. And I am very grateful to be in a kind of a society that's a little bit more accepting of the queer individual. And so I did have some beautiful influences in my life that were accepting, and it allowed me to be accepting of myself a little bit. And so I came out to myself as being bi, because it's easier to be bi than it is to be fully lesbian. And that was really exciting. When I came out to myself, I was so happy. I experienced so much bliss, and I was like, I finally feel free. Like, I feel like myself. And then a couple days later, I had told my very Christian roommate that I think that I was gay, and her response was as good as it could be for a very, very Christian roommate that also was a worship leader. And yeah, after that moment, I spiraled down a deep, deep level of shame. And this is where the dark night of my soul started. And this is where, honestly, the initiation of my spiritual journey started. And this is why I can appreciate my queerness as being a catalyst to my spiritual journey, because it was the thing that had to push me to realize, oh, maybe you're not fully being honest with yourself. So as I started this spiraling of shame of my sexuality and really realizing that I can't go back from this moment because I really am feeling very gay and I can't go back from that, I started really deeply being depressed, started having anxiety attacks that I'd never felt before, like intense paralysis. I couldn't speak. I was just shaking on the floor, like literally having like a seizure of anxiety. And I started self-harming. And this is the start of my addiction of self-harm. And I also started experiencing manic episodes and very low episodes. So this is the start of my bipolar journey as well. All of these things catalyst through my experience of finally coming out and allowing myself to be free for the first time. And a lot of us will see those moments as the start of our spiritual awakening and the start of the dark night of the soul. So I continued to kind of question my faith, but again, it wasn't my faith that I was questioning. It was I was questioning my religion. I started questioning my religion after this moment, after so many people in my life kind of started treating me differently and looking at me differently, because I did eventually come out to people in my Bible studies and whatever, because it was a part of my life and I was authentic and I wanted to like have help. I was like, I don't know what's going on with me. I don't know why I'm gay. I don't really like this. I don't want to be gay. I would hope for no one else in my life to experience this, because this is a type of pain that I never want anyone to experience. Because if you have a lot of religious trauma and you believe, and other people believe, that being gay is a sin, then you believe that even waking up for you is a sin and you should be ashamed for that. So every single moment I would just wake up or be alive and just feel this immense amount of shame because I was existing. And so when you feel that for a couple days, a couple years, that really weighs on you heavy, that you just believe that you are a sin, that there's no way that you can separate from that. Because again, the amount of times that I had tried to pray the gay away, for real, I spent so much time just praying to God, being like, please take this away from me, please, please, please. And again, none of that ever happened, because now I see it as being a very beautiful catalyst in my life and has created a great community for me. But again, I was very alienated in the church after those moments, after I kind of came out and kind of pushed away and was like, ugh. I got out of all places leadership because of that. And I was such a leader. Like, I love leading people. I love holding space for people. And for this one thing to have changed everything was just really drastic for me. So then I started a queer Bible study and eventually just left all Bible studies, left all things there, and entered a very Christian cult. And I was told that they would be more accepting, it's more radical. It's like they were a house church type thing. And I was baptized the first day that I was there, and I was kind of told that my life was going to change. And I was like, yay, like I'm not going to be gay anymore. This is excellent. Like, I was just hoping that they would be the solution to all of my issues. Eventually that didn't work out. But through that journey, I really learned about myself. I learned about evangelical essence of praying for people. So I was that type of person that was on the streets with people, praying with people. I went and talked to many neighborhoods and talked to a lot of people and just prayed on people. And so that experience I really, really love. I also learned how to meditate in that group, even though they wouldn't call it meditation because meditation is demonic to them and yoga was demonic to them. So I learned how to meditate here, and this is where I actually got the tattoo of healer on my wrist when I had asked God, what is my name? And instantly I heard the phrase healer, and that was really amazing to me. Later on, after I left the cult, I really hated the tattoo because I was just like, was that all a lie? Blah, 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 blah. But anyways, after this, I was like, you know what? This cult isn't enough. I need to go on a mission trip. So I went on a mission trip to Virginia Beach, and I was evangelizing to people on the beach. But again, I was in a very dark place at this time, so it might not have been the best thing to try to give my all to people when I didn't really even know who I was or what I wanted. So I picked up this random girl, and she was also going on the mission trip, and we drove down to Virginia Beach together. And when I got to Virginia, my car broke down and our phones had died. And we had to hitchhike a little bit to figure out how to contact anyone, how to get my car fixed, and all of that stuff. And it was such a hot day as well. So that was just the start of my Virginia Beach missions trip. Alongside of this, I kept having the mentality that God was going to just change me, praying the gay away. I really, really, really wanted that to work. And through every single time that I tried it, it didn't work because I was meant to be this way. But so I stopped taking all of my meds. I stopped eating at that point because I also had an eating disorder. I was vaping in secret and I was self-harming, again, still in this mission trip area. And I was the only gay person there. I was the only one that wasn't a cookie cutter Christian in that situation. And I felt so alienated. I just didn't feel like I fit in anywhere, like any direction that I ran. Like I was not finding a solution to my problems. And again, I was the problem. I was running into places where I was trying to pray the gay away, and over and over and over and over, God was like, hey, that's not going to work for you. There's a larger mission here. So at that point, I was in a very, very bad place because I was so ashamed of who I was. I was on this mission and no one knew what I was doing. Like I was vaping in secret and I was like gay in secret, and like they wouldn't have accepted me if I would have said I was gay, which was actually something on the thing that you had to write down, are you gay? Because if you were, you wouldn't be able to be on the trip. But anyways, so it led me down a deeper path of shame and comparison. And about 6 days in, I ended up basically telling someone that I was going to end my life. I was going to, take all the meds that I had that I wasn't taking previously and just kind of get out of it because the shame was too bad. The shame was too much. I couldn't handle it. And the friend that I talked to eventually talked me into talking to someone else, and my mentor had come and taken me to the psych ward. And even in the psych ward, it wasn't the psych ward, it was the hospital. So she took me to the hospital, 24-hour hospital, and I was just there overnight it was a suicide watch thing. And I've already done 2 of those before. So it was something I had experienced before. But after that, I had gotten kicked out of the mission. I mean, it makes sense, but I was very upset about this because I had done all of the work to raise the money. I talked to friends and family. So many people were supporting me behind this mission to, be Christ in the world, to be the light in the world. And I couldn't even make it a week there. And that's its own other story. But so yeah, I got flown back home. My parents hadn't known about this yet because they didn't know that I was gay, so I couldn't tell them like why I was so suicidal. Like they're like, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, because I didn't want to, I wasn't ready to be out to them yet. And so I stayed with my brother and my sister-in-law. My sister-in-law took me to the hospital in my area here, and I went to the psych ward for a week. And at that point, I finally was able to just let go of all expectations of anyone in my life. And I really just got to think for a second of, is this worth it? Is it worth it to care about what other people's opinions of me are? Or should I care about my own experience and my own opinions? I had to either choose me or choose my religion. And I had to let go of pleasing other people and start to please myself. From that moment, I let go of all expectations of who I needed to be for my parents and who I needed to be for other people, and finally just allowed myself to be myself. And I really enjoyed that time. I felt so free in the psych ward. It was one of the greatest times. And again, mind you, when I'm in weird situations, I often get manic. So I was often manic in that situation, but it was the most blissful experience, literally, like not having any expectations, not going anywhere in my life, just having a moment to sit still and really notice what it is that I want in my life besides thinking about anyone else, what it is that I truly desire. So I became free. The noise of shame and hate dissipated from my head, and I was able to listen to my own voice. I was always connected with God. That never left. It's just that I had disconnected from other people's ideas of who God was. And I'm very, very grateful that I had that opportunity, because I know not a lot of people do have that opportunity. I learned to meditate and pray directly to God and find validation within God and not within other people. We have God within, therefore we are God. And that's something I have continued to learn. But this freedom expanded my understanding of God and let me out of the box. I think oftentimes when we have this expectation of what God's children look like, we are putting God in a box. We're completely putting God in a box. And when you can say, you know what, actually, I know that I am God in the physical form. I know that I am a child of God. Therefore, I am loved automatically. I don't need your validation of what you think is right and wrong, because I have my own moral compass and I have my own connection with God. Therefore, I know who I am, and I don't need your validation. I don't need your expectations of who you are. I just need me. I need me to be alive. And I hope I would need you to know that I need to be alive. So at this point, I also started to look at other religions seriously, and I noticed that all of them were very similar. I also noticed that everyone's experiences in life are different. Therefore, everyone's expectation and experience of God is different. Therefore, it doesn't make any sense for me to say that one person's experience of God is right and another person's experience of God isn't right. So I allowed myself to have validity in my relationship with God and my queerness, because, again, over and over and over, I had prayed to God and I was like, please get rid of this illness. I thought it was an illness. And over, God was like, you are loved. I love you. I want you that way. I made you that way purposefully because you have a higher mission. I was like, I don't understand this. I don't understand this. Why are you doing this to me? This feels like torture. I felt very tortured in those moments, but it really was out of a place of love, now knowing where I'm at today. God is God. God is all. God is you. God is eternal, time and space and dimension. There is no limitation that we put on God, but for some reason, when it comes to our sexuality, when it comes to certain parts of who we are, we like to put a limitation and say, oh, that's not okay. Why is that? Because it's uncomfortable for other people. So when we can get rid of the expectations of other people in our head and really just become authentically ourselves, we can really find a lot of value in our truth and in our love and in our story. And I, now looking back, I can see that dark night of the soul, that situation where me coming out created a lot of controversy in my life, created a lot of darkness, that allowed me to see the other side. That allowed me to see that there's beauty in both the light and the dark. That I now am pushed into a position to understand so many experiences in life. So many experiences I didn't experience before. And I'm on this earth to experience as much as I can, to gain as many perspectives as possible. And it's so beautiful to be able to really appreciate my perspective and not invalidating myself because it's not the perspective of everyone else, but holding space for myself in these moments. Again, shame, I would say, is the enemy of this. Shame is the thing that pushes us down and says, you are not worthy, you are not able to be of a higher light, you are not worthy of heaven because you are different. And again, remember, Jesus was the one to walk in the shadow of the valley of death and heal the people there, the ones that were the outcasts, the outsiders, and the different ones. Okay, so why are we saying that you can only be one certain way? Jesus was not that way. Jesus was very radical in his beliefs. He even got killed for that. I want you guys to remember that your uniqueness is your beauty. Your authenticity is your power. We are God experiencing life in the physical form with different experiences that shift our perspective of the world. You are God. Do not be ashamed of whatever role you are meant to explore in this lifetime. Love yourself and love God. So that's my message here for today, and I hope that I could inspire some of you guys to realize the importance of yourself, to realize the importance of your authenticity, and to not be limited by other people's expectations of you and the religious expectations of who you are as well. There is a lot of times within religion, there is a agenda to put God in a box, and maybe you're not within that box, but you are God. So allow yourself to be free. Allow yourself to find value within your relationship with God, and only God and you alone matter. Don't listen to what other people say, because it's very invaluable. Oftentimes, those people that are preaching that upon you don't actually have a real relationship with God. So I allow you, or I suggest you, to kind of find stillness for yourself today. Lower any expectations that other people have on you. Let them go, let them dissipate. Find silence within yourself and actually ask yourself what it is that you desire. What it is that your expression of God wants in this lifetime. Because you are God in the physical form. I love you so much. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.